You're dead when we get home. Every fork stops. Every voice in the restaurant folds in on itself, like someone pressed mute on the entire room and left only the sound of my heartbeat. The water glass in front of me trembles before we go to the next. I feel like you're watching this lying on your bed, maybe in someone's arms, or wishing you were. Tell me, where are you right now? Bed, couch, or secret location? It's not the first time he's said it. It's the first time he's said it this loud. Across from me, Daniel is smiling. That's the worst part. He smiles when he's cruel. Like he's performing for a crowd no one else can see. Dan, I whisper, you're being loud. His eyes flick to mine. Slow. Flat. Bored. I'm not being loud, he says. I'm being honest. The chair behind him scrapes. Not his. The one at the table just over his left shoulder. That slow, deliberate scrape that isn't an accident. The kind of sound that means, I heard you. I'm standing up inside my skin, even if I don't move. I don't turn to look. I don't have to. Every nerve under my skin knows who sits there. The man they told stories about. The man whose name people say softer than a prayer. Luca Marino. The only person in this place more dangerous than the man sitting across from me, is the man sitting behind him. Daniel doesn't know that. Or maybe he does. Maybe that's why he said it so loud. He likes an audience. Sit up straight, he mutters, still smiling. Don't make a scene, Mia. My spine obeys before my brain does. Old training. Flinch, then fix. Shrink, then pose. Okay, I say. My voice sounds small, even to me. He reaches across the table and lines up my knife with the edge of my plate. Perfect. Straight. Controlled. Look at me, he says. I look. Everyone else pretends not to. But I feel them. The waiter's freezing just out of sight. The couple at the window suddenly fascinated by the street. The air turning sharp with a kind of attention no one will admit out loud. I should leave. I should stand up. I should walk out of this restaurant and never come back. I don't move. Because if he's this angry here, with people watching, I know what he'll be like when no one is. Dan, I say, trying to keep my voice steady, can we just talk later? He leans back in his chair, laughs soft and bright. There it is, he says. The little mouse voice. He tilts his head. That voice means you're lying to me again. I feel my cheeks heat. Not from shame. From something hotter. Smaller. Dangerous in a different way. I'm not lying, I say. He taps the table with one finger. Once. Twice. A little metronome for my fear. You've been distant for weeks, he says. You don't answer when I call. Tap. You text back one-word answers from that job. Tap. You think I don't see you pulling away? I swallow. He's not wrong. He's just terrifying about it. I'm tired, I say. His smile doesn't move. His eyes do. They narrow, just enough. Tired, he repeats. Sure. Let's go with that. Another scrape behind him. Not the full length of a chair this time. Just a small adjustment on wood. A warning note. For 1 second, his gaze flicks past me, over my shoulder. I see something rare. The smallest stutter in his performance. Then it's gone. Finish your food, he says. We're not wasting money because you're in a mood. I look down at my plate. Pasta, cooling. Sauce congealing around the edges. It smells incredible. I can't taste anything. The water glass trembles again when I reach for it. No one is touching the table. It's just my hand. I curl my fingers into my lap instead. Why did you say that? I ask quietly. He blinks. Say what? You're dead when we get home. The words feel heavier spoken out loud. They thud between us, too solid to pretend away now. Daniel's tongue presses against his cheek. He glances at the couple by the window, then at the bar, then back at me. Because you embarrassed me, he says, soft and reasonable. That's all. All. Like it explains everything. Like it is nothing. I didn't. You were flirting with the waiter. My chest tightens. I was asking about the specials. You were smiling. There it is. The crime. The ridiculousness of it almost makes me laugh. Almost. Instead, my throat closes around the sound. Behind him, a glass clinks gently against a bottle. A low male voice murmurs something in Italian. I catch only one word, basta. Enough. Heat spikes behind my eyes. Maybe this is why tonight is different. Not because he's angrier. Because someone else heard. Not the neighbor through the wall. Not a stranger on the sidewalk. A man whose name vibrates through the underworld of this city. Luca Marino eats dinner while my life shrinks to the size of a threat. You're overreacting, I whisper. Daniel's hand closes around his wine glass. Too tight. Red sloshes up the sides. I'm overreacting, he repeats. Did you hear yourself just now? He leans closer. I smell expensive cologne covering the stale edge of frustration. I said something in private, Mia. In private? My voice cracks. You shouted it across the table. Inside voice, he reminds me, lips barely moving now. Or you really will regret it when we get home. There. Soft. Deadly. The real voice. I feel my body do the familiar thing. The awful thing. I go still. Not calm. Not resigned. Just waiting. For once, the fear doesn't feel like mine alone. I sense it in the air around us. In the way the waitress doesn't come back. In the way the restaurant music suddenly feels too loud, like they turned it up to drown out anything that might happen next. That chair behind him doesn't scrape again. Whoever sits there doesn't need to move to be dangerous. Look at me, Daniel says. I do. My reflection stares back at me in his eyes, small, cornered, already apologizing for things I haven't done yet. I'm going to make this very simple, he says. You smile at another man tonight, you're dead when we get home. You understand me? The words land like a verdict. For a heartbeat, I think this is it. This is the line. Not the first threat. But the first one the whole room heard. My fingers twitch toward the water glass again. They stop halfway. Yes, I say. It's the answer I've always given. But it tastes different this time. Like I'm agreeing to something somebody else has also heard. Silence folds around us. Thick. Heavy. Full of witnesses who will never admit they saw a thing. I don't look at the table behind him. I don't have to. I can feel the weight of a stranger's attention pinning the moment in place, quiet and immovable. Like the pause before a chair finally scrapes all the way back. The restaurant remembers how to breathe. Cutlery clinks again. Someone laughs a little too loudly. The music creeps up, like the speakers are trying to cover what he just said. Everyone pretends they didn't hear him. My body knows they did. Daniel leans back and takes a slow sip of wine, like he's rinsing the taste of his own threat away. See, he says quietly. You made it weird. Not me. I nod because nodding is safer than speaking. Sorry, I whisper. The apology comes out on reflex, the way a hand jerks off a hot stove. His smile returns, bright and easy. Good boyfriend face. The man who just promised to kill me folds himself away behind his eyes. That's better, he says. Finish eating. We'll talk at home. At home. Soft words. Hard meaning. I push pasta around my plate. The sauce is a dark, glossy red. The folded napkin by my hand is the same shade. Everything on the table feels like a warning sign I can't quite read. Daniel's gaze drops to his phone. Thumb scrolling, jaw tight. Even his scrolling feels controlled. The feeling of being watched doesn't come from him. It comes from behind him. From the next table. I lift my eyes. The man sitting there isn't looking at me. He's angled toward his companion, listening with a quiet, intent face. But his line of sight passes through the curve of his wineglass, and in that warped circle of red, I see my own reflection. Small. Pale. Mouth pressed flat. Luca Marino. I've never met him. I know his name anyway. In this city, you learn the map of power before you learn the bus routes. The staff move around his table with an extra half-step of care. Nobody bumps his chair. Nobody rushes him. A waitress steps between our tables with a basket of fresh bread. She sets it down with steady hands. Grazie, Lena, he says. His voice is low, smooth, unhurried. She smiles quickly. You're welcome, Mr. Marino. Lena. I didn't know her name. He did. The detail sits in my chest in a strange way. It isn't just that he has power. It's that he pays attention. Daniel's foot taps mine under the table. Not playful. Corrective. Earth to Mia, he says. You zoning out again? Just thinking about work, I say. There it is, my blind spot. I hand him the excuse before he has to ask for it. He exhales through his nose. You should be thinking about us, he says. Your job doesn't love you like I do. Love. The word falls between us like something heavy and out of place. I know, I answer, because that's the line that keeps fights from turning into hours. He studies me longer than I like. Something tightens, just a little, behind his eyes. That's the first crack. Not in his temper. In his certainty. He isn't completely sure he owns the room anymore. His gaze flicks past my shoulder, just for a heartbeat, toward the man behind him. Then back to me. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't have to. My fingers reach for the water glass. It's colder than I expect. My hand still trembles, but not as badly as before. I wrap my palm around the glass like it's something solid and drink. Cold slides down my throat, over the hard knot in my chest. When I set the glass down, it doesn't rattle. Maybe the shaking really is all inside me. So, Daniel says, folding his napkin in half, then in half again, you going in early tomorrow?
Yeah,
I say. We've got a deadline. He snorts. They overwork you. You stay late, come home tired, and then somehow I'm the bad guy because I want your attention. I almost say, you're the bad guy because you just promised to kill me in front of a room full of people. Instead, my mouth betrays me. They're just short-staffed, I say. He leans in, elbows on the table, voice dropping to something almost gentle. You know what I think, he asks. No. Yes. Always. I think you like it when they need you, he says. I think you like feeling important there more than you like feeling important to me. The words twist. Close enough to something true that they scrape against my guilt. I don't. He cuts me off with a flick of his hand. Whatever, he says lightly. We'll talk later. Not here. There it is again. The shift. He takes danger off the table and moves it to later, like pushing a plate he isn't finished with to the side. A thin layer of fake safety settles around us. My shoulders loosen by a fraction. I hate that he can do that, turn my fear down like it's on a dimmer switch. A soft shadow falls over the table. I look up. It's the waitress again. Would you like to see the dessert menu, she asks. Her smile is professional. Her eyes aren't. No, Daniel says, still not looking at her. I'm watching my sugar. That's okay, she says, then turns to me. Anything for you, Mia? My name hits me like cold water. I blink. I never told her my name. Something in my chest stutters. No, thank you, I say quietly. I'm full. Her gaze drops to my barely touched plate, then back to my face. Whenever you're ready for the check, she murmurs. She walks away, leaving behind a question she isn't allowed to ask. Heat crawls up my neck. I risk a glance toward the next table. Luca breaks a piece of bread, dips it in oil, keeps talking to the man across from him. He doesn't look at me. He doesn't need to. The man with him glances between our tables, confusion flickering, like he can feel a current he doesn't understand. Daniel reaches across and takes my hand. From far away, it probably looks tender. Two people reconnecting after a tense moment. Up close, his grip is just a shade too firm. His thumb settles over the inside of my wrist, right where my pulse is trying to escape. Don't make me the bad guy here, he says softly. I lose it when I feel like I'm losing you. He sounds tired. Almost hurt. My mind immediately starts building a case in his favor. He's stressed. He's jealous. He doesn't know how to say what he feels. Maybe I am overreacting. I look down at our joined hands. You're not the bad guy, I say. The lie fits so well it scares me. His grip loosens. For a few seconds, it almost feels like a normal handhold. Warm. Human. Something I could believe in if I squint hard enough. I let myself float there. 1 breath. 2. 3. Then his fingers tighten again, slowly, like a demonstration. Good, he murmurs. Because if you ever make me look stupid like that again, we're going to have a serious problem. Understand? He's still smiling. From the right angle, it would look like he's telling me a secret. Maybe even a joke. The water glass stays perfectly still now. I'm the one shaking. The check folder sits between us like a verdict neither of us wants to open. Daniel stares at it as if the leather itself insulted him. We're not done talking, he says. He hasn't raised his voice again. That's almost worse. The danger feels quieter now. More precise. We can talk at home, I answer. The words slide out too easily. They've been rehearsed in other rooms, with other shadows. He taps the folder twice. I'll pay, he says. You can at least say thank you without looking like you're at a funeral. Everything inside me does feel dead already. Thank you, I manage. My voice doesn't crack. That feels like a small victory and a small betrayal. A hand appears at the edge of the table. Long fingers. White slip. Black sleeve. Whenever you're ready, a man says. Not the waitress. I look up. He's older, hair threaded with silver, shirt pressed to a sharp line. A small scar cuts through one eyebrow. He doesn't look at Daniel first. His eyes find mine. Signora, he says quietly. Take your time. My heartbeat stumbles. I'm not married. He doesn't say it like a mistake. Daniel plucks the folder out of his hand.
Yeah.
We got it, he says. The man's gaze lingers on me for one breath longer. Then he nods once and steps away. He moves to the table behind Daniel. Anything else, boss, he asks. Luca looks up from his espresso. For the first time tonight, his eyes travel openly from his table to ours. They pass over Daniel. Land on me. Stay. Not yet, he says. The words land in my chest like a promise I don't understand. Daniel flips the folder open. He whistles under his breath. See, he says. This is what I mean. I take you somewhere nice, spend money I don't have, and you sit there like I dragged you to court. Execution, I think. I'm just tired, I say. He scribbles his name on the slip. Then why did you agree to come, he asks. Because you stopped speaking to me when I tried to cancel. Because the silence felt worse than the threat. Because I wanted to, I lie. He laughs once. Doesn't look like it, he says. He closes the folder and pushes his chair back. The scrape cuts through the music. People glance over and away again. I stand too quickly. My knee bumps the underside of the table, the water glass trembles, rings against the plate, but doesn't spill. Daniel steps around to my side and sets his hand at the small of my back. On the surface, it looks like guidance. Up close, it's pressure. We're going outside, he murmurs. You're going to drop the attitude before we get in the car. No witnesses in his whisper. Bathroom, I say. His hand tightens. For what? To fix my makeup. A beat. He weighs control against appearance. Hurry up, he says. I'll be by the door. I walk away before he can change his mind. The hallway to the restrooms is narrower, quieter. In the mirror above the sinks, the lighting is cruel. My reflection looks back at me, eyes too wide, mouth pressed thin. I grip the edge of the sink until my fingers ache. I shouldn't have come tonight, I whisper. The confession slips out before I can swallow it back. It's small, but it's real. Fear sits under the words, fear of going home. Desire sits beside it, desire to be anywhere else. And the flaw is right in the middle. I keep telling myself staying is safer than leaving. The bathroom door swings inward. I flinch. It's the waitress, Lena. Sorry, she says. Didn't mean to startle you. You didn't, I say. We both hear the lie. She moves to the sink next to mine and washes her hands. You okay? She asks after a moment. The automatic answer rises, I'm fine. It sticks in my throat. I start and then stop. Our eyes meet in the mirror. You don't have to answer, she adds gently. That almost makes me cry. I'm tired of pretending, I hear myself say. Her hand still under the faucet. What are you pretending? She asks. That he's just jealous because he loves me, I say. The sentence shakes. Lena turns off the tap. Some men call control love, she says. Doesn't make it true. Her words land hard. My friends think he's perfect, I admit. They don't see him when he's like this. When he's like what? She asks quietly. When he promises things, I say, in a voice that sounds like he's talking about the weather. It's the closest I can come to naming the threat. She folds a paper towel in half. You don't deserve that, she says. I almost argue. The excuses rise, then fade. I don't know what I deserve, I say instead. It's the truest thing I've said all night. Lena studies my face in the mirror. If you need a minute before you go back out there, she says, take it. She walks to the door, then pauses. And if you ever need more than a minute, she adds, this isn't the only table in the room that hurt him. My pulse jumps. Like who? I ask. Her gaze flicks toward the wall we both know the dining room is on. She doesn't say his name. You're not invisible, she says simply. Then she's gone. The door closes with a soft click. I look at myself again. I don't feel like myself anymore, I tell the mirror. Back in the hallway, I hear the murmur of voices, the clink of dishes, a chair scraping against the floor. The sound hits me differently now. Warning, not background. I step into the dining room. Daniel waits by the front door, scrolling his phone. At the next table, Luca sits with his espresso, eyes lifted from his cup. For a breath, our gazes meet. There's no smile, no nod. Just that steady, measuring look. A question without words. Are you going back to him? My feet already know the answer. I walk past Luca's table without slowing, the space between us humming with all the things I didn't say. Daniel looks up. Finally, he says. Took you long enough. Whatever strange, fragile connection almost existed in that glance snaps. Sorry, I say automatically. The word tastes worse than before. He opens the door. Cold air rushes in. Let's go, he says. My body moves forward on habit. Inside, something small that just woke up flinches backward. That's as far as my courage reaches tonight. I step out anyway. Night air hits me like a glass of cold water thrown across the face, shocking, bracing, not enough to wake me up. Daniel's hand clamps around my elbow before I can take a second breath. Slow down, he says. You're walking like you're running away. I'm not, I answer. I am. He steers me toward the car parked under a dying street lamp. The flickering light makes everything look like a scene I'm remembering rather than living. Halfway there, he sighs a long, weary exhale. Look, he says. I shouldn't have snapped back there. False reassurance. He gives it to me like a treat. It just pisses me off when you tune me out, he goes on. I feel like I'm talking to a wall. You know? I nod. You're right, I murmur. I should pay attention. He laughs softly, relieved. There she is. My girl. My girl. He says it like a claim he's stamping into my skin. We reach the car. He opens the passenger door for me. Chivalrous. Gentle. He's always gentle right before he isn't. I lower myself into the seat. The interior smells like leather and the pine air freshener he likes. Home, he calls it. He closes the door, and for 1 second I'm alone. The lock clicks. Soft, automatic, but final. My breath catches. When he circles around to the driver's side, I notice something on the floor by my feet. An empty water bottle. The thin plastic dented inward from pressure, crushed and misshapen. A symbol without meaning would be nothing. But I know what he does when he's angry in the car. My pulse thuds. The passenger door opens, and Daniel slips in beside me. He starts the engine. It's freezing, he says, turning up the heat like a kindness. The car fills with warm air that doesn't feel warm at all. I didn't tune you out, I say carefully. I just needed a minute to breathe. He huffs. You always need a minute, he says. You've been distant. Different. You keep pulling away. He accelerates too quickly, the sudden speed pushing me back against the seat. My fingers tighten around my coat. I'm not pulling away, I say. He cuts me off. You're not yourself, he says. You haven't been for a while. The words sting more than I expect. Maybe because they're true. He glances at me, eyes narrowing. You used to be sweet. Soft. You used to look at me like you needed me. I stare at my knees. I still. Don't lie, he snaps. The heat in his voice flashes like a match. I flinch. Barely. But he sees it, he always sees it. And then, just as fast, he softens. Hey, he says gently. Don't do that. I'm not mad. I'm talking to you. A caress wrapped around a command. I know, I whisper. He reaches over and touches my leg. Lightly. Affectionately. I want to shrink away from it. I make myself stay still. False reassurance. He's better at this than he knows. Long day, huh, he says, giving me a sideways smile. Work crap.
Yeah.
He squeezes my knee. You can always tell me when it's too much, he says. That's what I'm here for. The kindness sounds real. That's how I know it isn't. He keeps driving. The city glides past the windows in long smears of gold and shadow. I try to breathe. 1 breath. 2. Just get home. Just get through tonight. You know, he says suddenly, I really didn't appreciate you talking to that waitress like she was your best friend. I blink. What? Don't play dumb, he says. He taps the steering wheel, once, twice, metal wedding band clicking. She said your name, he continues. You've been talking to her behind my back? What? No. I've never. He laughs, disbelieving. You expect me to believe she just guessed it? My stomach twists. She overheard you. That's all. He scoffs. Right. Sure. I grasp it calm, but it slips through my fingers. It was 1 second, I say. She just handed me a menu. Right, he says again. Flat. Sarcastic. He brakes too hard at a red light. The car lurches. My shoulder hits the seatbelt. He turns to me. Tell me the truth, he says softly. Do you talk to people behind my back? No, I whisper. I don't like liars, he says. You know that. I'm not lying, Dan. I swear. Something in his face shifts. Cracks. A new kind of crack, not anger. Fear. What are you doing to me, he whispers. I try so hard with you. I give you everything. He presses his palm to his forehead, rubbing hard. I watch him unravel with a kind of numb terror. This is the cut. False reassurance collapsing into pain. You don't even look at me anymore, he says. You don't touch me. You barely kiss me. I'm supposed to pretend I don't notice? He drops his hand and stares at me. And then you stare at other men. My chest goes cold. I didn't stare, I say shakily. You stared, he says. At him. I freeze. There it is. The micro reveal. He noticed Luca. He doesn't know who he is. He just knows I looked up from my fear long enough to breathe, and that someone else saw it. Dan, I begin, careful, I wasn't. Don't lie to me, he says. It makes me crazy. He laughs, but there's nothing funny in it. You have no idea what you do to me, he murmurs. He leans closer. And you looked at him like you look at me. I didn't, I say. But something inside me cracks too. Because I did look. Not the way he means. But I looked. I looked because someone else had seen me without trying to break me. Daniel's smile is small and brittle. Tell me I'm wrong, he says, voice too gentle. I didn't look at him like that, I whisper. He taps the steering wheel again. Tap. 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 He's unraveling in perfect rhythm. The light turns green. He doesn't move. Cars honk behind us. Daniel doesn't blink. His voice is soft when he says. If you ever make me feel like I'm not enough for you, a pause. A breath. A hollow smile. You won't like who I become. The light spills across his face. Red to green to nothing. My throat closes. Wound exposed. Quiet. Unavoidable. I shrink inside myself. Okay, I whisper. The worst retreat yet. He finally accelerates. As we pull forward, I glance in the side mirror. A pair of headlights trails behind us, distant but steady. A black sedan. Window cracked. Smoke curling out. Not following. Just present. Watching. Luca's car. My heart stumbles. Daniel doesn't notice. He's too busy talking about the dishes in the sink. As if the night didn't just shift beneath our feet. He drives on. The world outside blurs. Something inside me doesn't. It freezes. Stillness settles where hope used to be. A different kind of silence. A silence that feels like a bruise forming. A silence that feels like truth. Headlights smear across cracked asphalt as Daniel pulls into a space too fast. The car jolts. My shoulder bumps the door. I don't apologize for existing this time. It feels small and secret and dangerous. He kills the engine. For a second, it's just ticking metal and our breathing. This is stupid, he says. I wait. I shouldn't have said that back there, he adds. The whole, you're dead when we get home, thing. The words sound different without the restaurant around them. Smaller. Sharper. He turns toward me. His face looks tired, soft at the edges. I didn't mean it, he says. You know that, right? False reassurance, like an old song. I don't know, I hear myself say. The truth slips out before I can blur it. His eyes sharpen. What do you mean, you don't know? I mean, I swallow. Some days I'm scared of you. And some days I remember who you were before all this and I want to believe that's still you. There it is. The second confession. Fear in one hand. Desire in the other. Knuckles white around both. You're scared of me, he repeats. My fingers curl on my knees. I don't want to be, I add quickly. You're the only one who stayed. I just don't feel safe all the time. The air changes. He laughs once, soft and disbelieving. So I'm the monster now, he says. I didn't say that. You didn't have to. He leans back, staring through the windshield. I'm trying, Mia, he says, voice low. I lose it.
Yeah.
But it's because I care. You get that, don't you? Care shouldn't sound like a warning. I get it, I whisper. I don't. His shoulders loosen. There she is, he says. You make me crazy when you talk like you're leaving. I'm not leaving, I say. Flat. Tired. Not quite a lie, not quite the truth. You sure about that? Before I can answer, a pair of headlights sweeps into the lot behind us. We both glance at the rear view. The black sedan from the road slides into a space 2 spots over. My pulse kicks. Daniel squints. Great, he mutters. The restaurant stalker. The sedan's engine cuts. The passenger door opens. The man with the scar in his eyebrow steps out, scans the lot. Calm. Professional. Then the back door opens. Luca climbs out like the night rearranges to make room. He doesn't look surprised to see us. That scares me more than if he had. Daniel's jaw tightens. What's he doing here, he asks. I don't answer. The scarred man says something low. Luca's gaze follows the invisible line, landing on our car. On me. My blood feels loud. Stay in the car, Daniel mutters. I'm going to see what his problem is. Fear spikes. Dan, don't, I say. Please. Let's just go upstairs. You think I'm scared of him, he snaps. Yes, no, I say quickly. I just don't want more drama. He hears only the challenge. He yanks the door open. The hinge gives a low, scraping sound that reminds me of our kitchen chair, shoved back on angry nights. He gets out. Slams the door. I stay frozen, fingers digging into my thighs. Through the windshield, I watch him walk toward Luca. 2 shapes in the half-light. One restless. One still. Their voices drift to me in pieces. Follow us. Mind your own. The scarred man shifts closer to Luca. Back up, not shield. Luca finally speaks loud enough for the lot to hear. If I wanted to follow you, he says calmly, you wouldn't see me. Daniel's shoulders hitch. You threatening me, he demands. Luca taps ash off his cigarette, unbothered. Just correcting you, he says. I go where I want. Tonight that happened to be a restaurant where a man promised to kill a woman in front of me. The words punch straight through the dark. Daniel glances back at our car. At me. I was mad, he says. People say stuff when they're mad. I don't care about what you say when you're mad, Luca replies. I care about what you do when you're alone. My breath catches. Daniel's hand curls into a fist at his side. You don't know us, he says. Stay out of it. I know men, Luca says. That's enough. He steps closer. Not aggressive. Just undeniably there. And I know what happens when threats like that make it home, he adds. Silence spreads out like oil. I should get out. I should say I'm fine. I should say I'm not. Instead, I stay in my cocoon of upholstery and bad decisions. Daniel lifts his chin. I would never actually hurt her, he says. The lie sounds thin in the cold air. Luca's gaze doesn't move. You already did, he says quietly. You just used words instead of hands. The scarred man's eyes flick briefly toward our car, then away. Daniel lets out a sharp laugh. You think you're better than me, he asks. You? With your reputation? Luca's mouth curves, almost amused. I don't think about being better, he says. I think about what belongs to me. What I am responsible for. He glances toward the building, then back at Daniel. And what I will not allow on my doorstep, he adds. Daniel takes a step in. You can't tell me what to do in my own home, he says. Luca's tone doesn't change. I don't tell, he replies. I intervene. When I have to. His eyes find mine through the windshield. I feel pinned without being touched. I don't touch what isn't mine, he says softly, unless someone else tries to break it. The line lands like a code he's reciting to himself as much as to us. My skin prickles. Daniel scoffs. You think she's yours, he asks. Luca doesn't look away from me. I think she's not yours to break, he says. The words hit harder than I want them to. Something inside my chest shifts, small, sharp, undeniable. A different life breathes for 1 second. Daniel's attention snaps back to me. Get out of the car, he bites out. We're going upstairs. Now. My hand moves to the door handle. Cold metal under my fingers. I crack the door open an inch. Night air slips in, carrying smoke and something warmer underneath. Luca steps aside, giving us space, but not leaving. I said, get out, Daniel repeats. His voice is thinner than before. He's not used to someone standing between him and the version of himself he prefers. I heard him, I say quietly. It's all I manage. Not agreement. Not refusal. Just acknowledgement that the threat isn't invisible anymore. Daniel glares at me, then at Luca. This isn't over, he says. For your sake, Luca answers, I hope it is. I sit with my hand on the door, the gap of open air no wider than my doubt. If I swing it wide, everything changes. If I shut it, nothing does. My fingers tighten on the handle. The door stays half open. So do I. The door stays open just long enough for cold air to slip between us. Daniel grabs it and swings it the rest of the way. Inside, he says. His voice has that new quality, strained, stretched thin, trying to sound calm but fraying at the edges. He wants to pretend nothing changed in that parking lot. Everything changed. I step out. The ground under my shoes feels uneven, like the world tilted 3 degrees when Luca spoke. Daniel grabs my wrist, not hard, not soft. Guided. Owned. Don't embarrass me, he mutters. I don't answer. He hears the silence anyway. We walk toward the building. The lot is quiet except for the sound of gravel shifting under Luca's shoes. He's not following, just watching. Like he's memorizing the way we move through the dark. The hallway to our apartment is dim, a flickering light buzzing like a trapped fly. Daniel unlocks the door. Inside, the air smells like stale coffee and the cologne he sprays too much of. Home. Or what I used to call home. He drops his keys on the counter and turns to me. Sit, he says. The word hits like a command he didn't realize slipped out. My stomach twists. He notices. Sorry, he says quickly. I didn't mean, just, can we talk? Without you shutting down? I lower myself onto the edge of the couch. Daniel paces once, then stops in front of me. Do you know how crazy you made me tonight? He asks. His tone keeps trying to find a shape, anger, love, fear, landing in none of them. You looked at him, he says. You looked at him like you look at me. I breathe once, carefully. I wasn't looking at him, I say. I was looking away from you. He freezes. What? I needed space, I say. I needed air. His face twists, not in rage, but in something worse. Hurt. You're saying I suffocate you? No, I whisper. Yes. I pull my hands into my lap. Silence folds around us. He studies me the way someone studies an animal that might bolt. You're lying, he says softly. You always lie when you're scared. My pulse stutters. Before I can answer, he steps forward and crouches in front of me, hands on his knees. His face level with mine. I don't want to hurt you, he says. But you make it so hard, Mia. You pull away, you look at other men, you. I wasn't. Don't interrupt. The word cracks against my skin. My breath stops. My heart doesn't. His eyes widen a fraction. Sorry, he says instantly. I didn't mean to yell. I'm trying. He grabs my hands. Not hard. Not soft. Help me, he says. Something inside me folds the wrong way. He thinks I can save him from himself. From the anger he insists is love. From the way he breaks things before he touches them. I pull my hands back. Slow. A quiet retreat. He watches them slide out of his grip. Mia, he says, voice thin, don't do that. A memory flashes. Not a dramatic one. A boring one. The night he apologized for grabbing my phone too hard. The night he begged me to trust him. The night I told myself it wasn't that bad. A moment I filed under normal relationship tension. A lie. And suddenly, I'm remembering things I haven't let myself think about. The cracked mug he blamed on slippery hands. The dent in the wall he said was from moving furniture. The bruise on my hip I told my coworkers came from bumping into the counter. Evidence I tucked away. Rearranged. Softened. Evidence I didn't want to see. My blind spot burns. Mia, he says. I blink. His voice sounds far away now. You okay, he asks. I don't know, I say. The truth slips out without permission. He kneels there, staring at me like he's seeing a stranger. And then. A soft knock at the door. We both stiffen. Daniel stands slowly. Stay here, he murmurs. He walks to the peephole and looks through. His whole body goes rigid. What the hell, he mutters. A long silence stretches, thick, suspended, breathless. Who is it? I ask. He doesn't answer. I stand and move closer. He blocks me with one arm but keeps staring through the peephole like he's forgotten how to move. I hear a voice through the door. Calm. Low. Familiar. Open the door, Luca says. My lungs seize. Daniel jolts back like the door itself burned him. What does he want? Daniel whispers. His voice has none of the bluster from before. Just fear. The knob rattles, softly. Not a threat. A reminder. Daniel backs away. This is insane, he whispers. Why is he here? Why? A second memory detonates behind my eyes. Months ago. A night I didn't think about again. He came home drunk. Angry because I didn't answer fast enough. He pushed me. Not hard enough to bruise. Hard enough to startle. I told myself, it was an accident. He was tired. He didn't mean it. A lie. A truth I'm staring at now without the ability to flinch away. Dan, I say softly, what did you do? Before me? His jaw locks. Nothing, he snaps. Daniel. Silence. Then. She lied, he mutters. She said I hit her. I didn't. I swear I didn't. My stomach twists. Who lied? No one, he says quickly. Lie. Everything inside me goes numb. On the other side of the door, Luca's voice returns, patient, unhurried. Mia, he says gently, you don't have to open it. Just say if you're all right. He knows my name. Again. Daniel's eyes snap to mine. Wide. Panicked. You told him things, he demands. No, I say. And it's true. He's lying, Daniel whispers. He's trying to get in your head. A quiet truth settles in my bones. I don't need Luca to tell me I'm not safe. I already know. Another memory surfaces, one I buried deeper than the others. Daniel crying into my lap after throwing a glass at the wall. Saying, I didn't mean it, over and over. Me stroking his hair, telling him, I know. It's okay. It wasn't. And this moment rewrites all the ones before it. Mia, Luca says again, just speak. That's all. His voice is steady. Not demanding. Not sharp. Just present. Daniel shakes his head. Don't, he whispers. Don't talk to him. Don't you dare. I look between the door and the man I used to love. The man I kept shrinking myself to fit beside. The man who doesn't know how not to break the things he loves. My throat tightens. I inhale. Exhale. And say nothing. Silence stretches. Breaks. Holds. Daniel stares at me with a mix of terror and rage and something I can finally see clearly. He is not afraid of Luca. He is afraid of losing control of me. Luca doesn't repeat himself. He doesn't knock again. He just stands there, waiting. The truth sits between us, rooted and immovable. There is no going back. Not from this. The apartment feels too small for the three of us, the man I used to love, the man who terrifies him, and the version of myself I've been trying not to meet. Daniel backs away from the door like Luca's voice could come through it and burn. Don't talk, he whispers. Just, don't say anything. He's shaking. Not with anger. With fear. Not fear of Luca himself, fear of what I might say. Something inside me shifts. He grabs my shoulders. You can't let him turn you against me, he says. You can't. You know how people talk about him. He's manipulating you. He's dangerous. Dangerous. He says it like a warning. But the only man in this room who ever promised to hurt me is standing 2 feet away. I'm not, I start. Stop, he cuts in, voice cracking. Stop lying. He drops his hands. Mia, his voice breaks. Do you want to leave me? The question punches the air out of my lungs. Because for months the truth has been sitting behind my ribs like a stone I couldn't swallow. My chest trembles. The word stalls. I try again. I don't know. His face collapses. What do you mean you don't know? I mean, my throat tightens. I can't tell what's real anymore. He laughs, sharp, disbelieving. Me, he says, pressing a hand to his chest. I'm real. This is real. A lie I spent so long believing that it became a room I learned to sit quietly in. I look toward the door. It's still closed. But I can feel Luca's attention through it, steady, patient, like quiet gravity. I'm scared, I whisper. Daniel freezes. Of him, he asks quickly. Of you, I say. The confession tears something open. I feel it, like a crack in an old wall finally giving way. His eyes go wide. Wet. Wild. No, he breathes. No, don't say that. Don't. I say louder. My fear isn't love, Dan. He stares at me, stunned. I stayed, I say. My chest heaves. I kept staying. I told myself it wasn't that bad. I told myself you were stressed, tired, angry, hurting. I told myself everything except the truth. The words rush out too fast. A spike, sharp, breathless, unstoppable. I kept shrinking myself just to survive you, and I didn't even notice how small I'd become, and I thought if I just tried harder you'd stop, you'd calm down, you'd look at me like you used to, you'd be gentle again, but every time I forgave you I taught you it was safe to break me, and I don't know how to stop it. My breath snaps like a wire pulled too tight. Daniel stares like I've slapped him. I thought, I say, voice shaking, that if I could just be better, you'd stop hurting me. He covers his mouth. Oh my God, he says behind his fingers. Mia. I didn't know you felt like that. You didn't ask. That lands harder than anything else. His hand falls. I never hit you, he says, desperate. You know that. You know that. You didn't need to, I say quietly. He blinks. What? You never needed to, I repeat. You had my fear without lifting a hand. He sways, like I hit him harder than he ever hit the wall that night he said he slipped. He tries to step toward me. I step back. The space grows like a wall. Mia, he pleads. Don't do this. You're all I have. And there it is. The truth inside his truth. He doesn't want me. He wants the version of me he can hold still. I can't breathe here, I whisper. His face twists. And then, he slams his hand down on the table. The chair beside him skitters backward with a violent scrape across the hardwood. The sound hits like a shockwave. It's the sound that breaks the room. I freeze. Daniel freezes. On the other side of the wall, silence. Even Luca must have heard that. Daniel grabs the back of the chair like he wants to steady himself, but only succeeds in making it worse. His voice drops to a broken whisper. You think he'll save you from me? His eyes shine. You think he cares about you? He doesn't even know you. I inhale sharply. I don't think he's here to save me, I say. But he heard me. Daniel flinches. So what? He spits. You're going with him? You're choosing some criminal instead of your boyfriend? I'm choosing myself. He stares at me like the sentence shattered him. Mia, he breathes, please. I can change. I swear. I swear to God I'll change. I close my eyes. When I open them, I feel different. Still shaking. Still scared. But something inside is awake. I can't stay, I say softly. It hurts too much. He looks at me like I've delivered a final verdict. No, he whispers. No, no, you can't. He lunges. Not to hit me. Not to shake me. To grab my hands. To beg. But I step aside. My body moves on instinct, toward the door. Toward safety. Toward breath. Daniel stumbles past me, catching himself on the counter. When he looks back, his eyes are torn open with grief and fury. You're leaving me, he chokes. I'm leaving the pain, I say. He looks like he might collapse. Or break something. Or break himself. A sob hits his throat. You can't, he whispers. You can't. His voice cracks. I look at the table. An untouched water glass sits near the edge. Still. Calm. Unshaking. For the first time tonight, I'm not the one trembling. I turn toward the door. I expect Daniel to scream. To grab me. To block the exit. He doesn't. He goes quiet. Too quiet. I place my hand on the doorknob. The metal is cool. Solid. Real. I hear him inhale behind me, sharp, broken, wounded. Mia, he says softly. Just my name. No threat. No rage. No command. A plea. I almost turn. Almost. But the version of myself who stayed that long is slipping off my skin like something I've outgrown. I open the door. Luca stands in the hallway. Not looming. Not invading. Just waiting. His eyes scan my face. Then the room behind me. Then my hands. He says nothing. He doesn't need to. The silence holds us, a silence that feels like the moment between a wound and a bandage. A silence that feels like breath after drowning. I take one step forward. And for the first time all night, I don't step back. The door remains open behind me. Daniel makes no sound. Luca meets my gaze. And the chapter ends on the silence between us, held, heavy, unavoidable, and full of the truth we've finally stopped running from. The hallway is colder than the night outside. I don't know if it's the air, or the way the world feels different when you finally step out of a door you weren't sure you'd survive behind. Luca doesn't move when I face him. He doesn't reach for me. Doesn't speak. He stands like a man who knows that silence can be a kindness. Are you hurt? He asks quietly. It's the first question anyone has asked me in a long time that isn't about what I did wrong. I shake my head. The words trail off. There are too many endings. Tired. Shaking. Empty. Free. Lost. He lets the unfinished sentence land in the space between us without trying to fix it. Come, he says softly. Not far. He turns slightly, waiting, not assuming I'll follow, but giving me the option. A choice. My choice. I take a step. Then another. We move down the hallway in silence. Not fearful silence, not held-breath silence, the kind that feels like a blanket after too much noise. He stops near the stairwell where the window leaks soft city light onto the floor. Sit, he says gently, nodding to the bench built into the wall. I sit. Slow. Careful. My legs feel like they belong to someone else. Luca stands a moment longer, watching the shadows behind us, the door I walked out of, the world I chose not to stay in. Then he sits beside me. Not close. Just near. Enough to feel real. Not enough to feel like pressure. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a small bottle of water. He holds it out. I thought you might need this. My throat tightens. Not because I'm thirsty. Because it's the same object that's been shaking with me all night, the water glass, but now it's steady in his hand. I take it. My fingers don't tremble. Not this time. Thank you, I whisper. He nods. No lecture. No questions. Just presence. I unscrew the cap, bring it to my lips, then stop. I don't drink. Not because I'm scared. Because for the first time, I'm deciding what my body does, instead of reacting. He notices. His eyes flick to the bottle, then back to me. He doesn't comment. That small act, respect without expectation, makes something inside me loosen. You came to the door, I say quietly. Yes. Why? A breath leaves him, slow, deliberate. Because I've seen that look before. I turn to him, surprised. He doesn't look away. A long time ago, he says, someone I cared for had the same fear in her eyes. The kind you don't get by accident. His voice is warm in a way I haven't heard before, not soft, not fragile, but truthful. What happened to her? I ask. He answers with silence first. Then. She didn't ask for help, he says. The words fall heavy, like stones into water. Did she? My throat closes. Did she survive? His jaw flexes. Not anger, memory. No, he says. The air shifts. Soft, sad, honest. That's the micro-reveal. Not a threat. Not a warning. A past he carries like a scar. I'm sorry, I say. He nods once, accepting, not deflecting. She thought she had more time, he adds quietly. People like him make you believe that. I swallow. The truth tastes different this time, lighter, not sharp against my tongue. Tonight was the first time, I say, that I realized. I might not have had time. He looks at me then. Fully. Not at my fear. At me. What made you walk out, he asks. The question doesn't demand an answer. But it wants the truth. I look at the bottle in my hands. The plastic crinkles softly. I heard myself, I say. The admission comes out small. But real. I heard what I was saying, I continue. And I sounded like someone begging to be hurt more quietly. Luca's breath catches, barely. And I looked at him, and I looked at myself, and I realized I didn't know which one of us I was scared of losing. A long silence sinks between us. Not suffocating. Just heavy with truth. You did something very hard, he says. His voice is warm now, warmer than anything he said all night. You walked away. I laugh once, not because it's funny. Feels more like I ran. You stepped, he corrects. And that's enough. My chest tightens. I look down. The bottle rests between my palms. Steady. I don't know what happens now, I admit. I don't know where to go. You don't have to know, he says simply. Another silence. This one is different. Earned. Safe in shape, if not yet in meaning. I'm not taking you anywhere, he adds after a moment. You tell me where you want to be. I just make sure you get there. Chosen surrender. Power without pressure. Something I've never been offered before. I breathe out slowly. I don't want to go back inside, I whisper. He inclines his head. Then you won't. I don't know if I'm ready to do anything else, I say. You don't have to. The warmth in his voice deepens, quiet, steady, never reaching too far. You did enough for one night, he murmurs. My eyes sting. I press the bottle cap against my palm, grounding myself. The water inside sloshes softly. Not trembling. Not shaking. Just water. Luca? I say. Yes. I don't know what I want to ask. What I want to say. What I'm allowed to want. So I settle on the only thing that doesn't feel too big. Will you stay for a minute? He looks at me. Not like I'm fragile. Like I'm someone whose words matter. I'll stay, he says. My breath breaks, quietly, into something like relief. We sit together in the dim hallway. Not touching. Not talking. Just breathing. A minute turns into 2. 2 into 5. No danger. No demands. No threats. Just quiet. Finally, I whisper the question that floated up from all the other questions I'm not ready to touch yet. What happens after this? He turns his head, studies me carefully. With hurt, he says softly, there is always a cost. I swallow. But you don't have to pay it all at once. The words settle into me like the first warm thing I've felt in hours. I look at the door behind me, closed, shadowed, still trembling with everything I left. Then back at Luca, solid, steady, letting me choose the shape of this silence. I don't have an answer. I don't need one yet. The night holds its breath with me. The thread of what now floats quietly in the air, unresolved, waiting. And for the first time, waiting feels possible. The stairwell is quiet now. Not the fragile quiet of the apartment. Or the held breath quiet of that hallway. A different quiet. One that feels like something inside my chest finally stopped running. Luca sits beside me on the bench, his posture easy, hands resting loosely on his knees. He hasn't moved since I asked him to stay. He's been still in a way that doesn't demand anything, just presence, steady and unafraid of the silence stretching between us. I take a breath, deeper than I expect. It lands differently. I keep thinking about what I said, I whisper. The words from the apartment still echoing in my skull, sharp and soft at once. I heard myself, I say again, softer. And I can't unhear it now. Luca doesn't respond. He just waits. My voice feels like something I'm rinsing clean as I speak. I kept calling it anger, I say. Stress. Jealousy. I named it everything but what it was. I stare down at the water bottle in my hands. For the first time, it feels like a grounding weight, not a test of how steady I can pretend to be. He didn't need to hit me, I say quietly. He found other ways. The words don't crack. They settle. Like they've been waiting a long time for a place to land. And I let him, I whisper. I let him make me small. A soft ache blooms behind my sternum, but it's the kind that comes with truth, not fear. I thought silence kept me safe, I add. Luca's head tilts slightly, barely there, but listening. My throat tightens. But silence kept me small, I say. Not safe. The mirror line breaks open inside me. My reflection. Changed. I stayed because I wanted him to go back to the person he was in the beginning, I continue. But that person wasn't real. The realization sounds almost gentle. Like grief spoken aloud. He wasn't a monster all the time, I say. That was the problem. I let out a breath. Slow. Measured. Some men hurt you in between kindness, I say. And you tell yourself the kindness is the truth. Luca shifts his gaze to me fully now. Not pity. Recognition. A silence fills the space, soft, almost warm. I didn't want to believe he could really hurt me, I say. But he already was. Another breath. He didn't need to bruise me to break something. My fingers tighten around the bottle, the plastic crackling lightly. He broke the part of me that trusted my own fear. A long quiet settles. Not heavy. Not suffocating. Just honest. Luca speaks only when the silence feels ready. Fear is not a weakness, he says. It's a language. I swallow. And I stopped listening to mine, I whisper. You're listening now, he says. I nod. I know. For the first time in hours, maybe months, my breath doesn't feel like something I stole from someone. He said he could change, I murmur. Luca waits, letting the thought unravel to its end. And I wanted to believe him, I admit. But I think I wanted that because the truth was too big. What truth? He asks gently. That leaving would cost me something. My voice trembles once. But staying would cost me more. Luca's jaw softens. His eyes lower in quiet understanding. Every freedom has a price, he says. I know, I whisper. And I'm finally willing to pay it. A tiny sound drifts through the stairwell, the faintest scrape of wood against tile, far away. A memory of the sound. Not the sound itself. A ghost of danger leaving my space. The motif fading out. I exhale. My head leans back against the wall, tentative, tired. What happens now? I ask quietly. Luca doesn't answer right away. He waits, as if making sure I really want the question answered. Then. Now, he says, you learn that survival and healing aren't the same thing. The truth lands in me like warm weight. And the healing? I ask. That part, he says, you don't have to do alone. I swallow, throat tight. The thought is too big. Too much. Too soon. I retreat, softly, instinctively. I don't know if I'm ready for anyone to help, I murmur. That's all right, he says, unbothered. Readiness isn't the requirement. Willingness is. What if I'm not willing either? He gives a small, almost imperceptible smile. You walked out, he says. That's willingness. A breath I didn't know I'd been holding loosens in my chest. Luca. My voice catches on his name. Not from fear. From the fragments of old habits breaking apart. I meet his gaze. I think I knew, I whisper. Deep down. I think I knew what he was. I didn't want it to be true. Truth doesn't disappear because we avoid it, he says. It waits. And it costs, I add. Yes. He nods. But so does the lie. I close my eyes. A tear slips, but it doesn't fall in panic. It falls like something I'm releasing. I lost something tonight, I say. What? He asks gently. My own illusion, I whisper. The version of him I kept trying to save. Another silence settles. Then. But I saved something too, I add. What did you save? Me. The word feels foreign on my tongue. Not because it's untrue. Because it's new. I sit with it. Let it breathe. Let it settle. My chest rises and falls, slow and steady. The night outside stays dark. But something inside me lightens. I look down at the water bottle again. Still. Untrembling. What if, I whisper, this is only the beginning? Luca studies me, quiet, considering. He doesn't answer for a long moment. When he finally speaks, his voice is low and sure. Beginnings always ask for something, he says. I turn the bottle in my hands, plastic crackling softly. What are they asking for? I ask. He meets my eyes. Courage, he says. And honesty. My breath catches. Not from fear. From recognition. I nod slowly. Then, softly, almost to myself. How many of us mistake fear for love until it nearly kills us? The question hangs in the stairwell. Large enough for the whole world. Soft enough to be mine. The stairwell window is turning the color of early morning. Night has loosened its grip. The sky leans toward blue. The city hasn't fully woken up yet. Neither have I. Luca stands when I stand. My body remembers the old instinct, to apologize, to explain, to ask if I've taken up too much space. The words rise and stay behind my teeth. I just breathe instead. Thank you, I say. It's simple. It's small. It's everything I have. He nods once. You did the hard part, he says. We walk down the last flight of stairs together. No rush. No instructions. Just footsteps and the low hum of a building that has heard too many arguments through thin walls. Outside, the air is cool and thin. The street is almost empty. Luca gestures toward the car. I can drive you wherever you want to go, he says. Or nowhere. We can just sit until you decide. Power, offered and not demanded. I don't know where I'm going yet, I admit. He considers that like it's a reasonable answer. Then we'll stay here for a minute, he says. We lean against the car instead of getting in. The metal at my back is solid, cool through my coat. My legs are tired, but they feel like they belong to me again. I keep thinking about upstairs, I say quietly. The things I said. The things I never thought I'd hear myself say out loud. Luca doesn't fill the space. He lets the words land. I thought leaving would feel like falling, I admit. It doesn't. How does it feel, he asks. Like landing, I say. Silence settles. This one feels almost gentle. My shoulders loosen. My jaw unclenches. The night is still behind me, but it isn't sitting on my chest anymore. I don't know who I am without fear, I whisper. You'll find out, he says. How? He looks toward the faint light at the edge of the sky. By waking up tomorrow, he says. And the day after. By choosing small, boring, peaceful things until they stop feeling strange. The idea is so simple it almost makes me cry. Small things, I repeat. Yes. A pause. Like what? Like drinking a glass of water in a quiet room, he says. And not waiting for someone to throw it. The image hits deep. For a moment I picture it clearly, a table, a chair, a single glass of water. No raised voice. No threat hiding in the walls. Just me. Breathing. When I open my eyes, the sky is a shade lighter. Do you regret leaving? He asks. I think about the apartment upstairs. The slammed hand on the table. The chair scrape. The version of me who thought surviving meant staying quiet. No, I say. The answer comes easier than I expect. I regret how long I stayed, I add. But not that I left. He nods. That's how it is, he says. We don't always choose when we see the truth. Only what we do once we see it. A small, real laugh slips out of me. You sound like someone who's paid a lot of costs, I say. I have, he replies. Across the street, through the restaurant window, a worker sets a table for the day. White cloth. One water glass. Clear. Still. Waiting. I watch it for a few breaths. It started with a glass shaking, I say softly. I thought that meant I was weak. And now? Luca asks. Now it's just a glass, I say. The shaking was me asking for help. The words don't hurt the way they used to. I don't know if I'll ever trust someone like that again, I admit. You don't have to decide that today, he answers. Today, all you have to do is not go back upstairs. A small, quiet smile touches my mouth. I can do that, I say. I know, he replies. The glass in the window catches a line of pale light. For a second it glows. I straighten. I think, I say slowly, I'd like to start with breakfast somewhere that isn't here. Luca glances at me, calm and unreadable. Then that's where we'll go, he says. No questions. No conditions. Just agreement. I push off the car. My legs hold. My hands are steady. My voice, when it comes, is small but sure. Okay, I whisper. The word hangs there, soft and whole. A beginning disguised as an answer. He opens the car door, not like a man claiming something, but like a man holding it open for whatever comes next. I look once more at the still water glass through the window. Then I step forward. The rest is quiet.